Hi, my name is Casey Bonilla, and I'm writing a book about second-generation immigrant women and their experience with the pandemic. This novel explores the intersection of technology, economics, and politics through the perspective of second-generation immigrant women in a fictional novel. The reason that I wanted to write this book is because at the start of the pandemic, I looked to literature to find ways on how to cope with this new reality. I thought that just as Edgar Allan Poe turned to literature to deal with his wife's affliction, that maybe other authors that were alive during the Spanish flu might be able to bring some wisdom or at least some shared sorrow on how to deal with such a new reality. Then I realized that there weren't many works. I read an article that tried to bring some light into why this was happening. And it turns out that during widespread illness, compassion is very low. And considering that people of color aren't traditionally seen or read about in the media, I wanted to make sure that we didn't forget those that traditionally aren't heard, the people that we've lost. I think it's natural that when we're going through difficult times, it's hard for us to sympathize with others. And it's very difficult to overcome some of that anger or resentment when someone is asking for help and you're not receiving any. But even though those feelings are natural, I want to challenge that feeling. I want to make an active choice to really consider others and their stories. This novel follows the story of three fictional women: Olivia, Belen, and Leilani. Each one has triumphs and tribulations that overtake their life in America in 2020. Olivia is a young New Yorker who is trying to find herself in Arizona, and in the midst of doing that, finds herself in a precarious situation. Then we follow Belen, who is a college student in the prime of her city abroad experience and suddenly pulled out and having to face senior year of college, seemingly alone. And then there's Leilani, who is a strong-willed woman dealing now with opposing relationships, her family and her budding new relationship that are pulling her in opposite directions. This book is supposed to be a starting point of discussion of why there is a lack of representation of people of color as characters, as authors, as writers, and beyond that, just looking at a lot of the systemic issues that exist and how we are actively working to dismantle them or working to keep them in place. The novel discusses the American dream and what that looks like for so many families and different people. I think that if you are an immigrant or a child of immigrants, you might really enjoy this book by seeing some of that representation there, where you can relate to how we want to do our family proud and what that means for us and our own dreams and how we relate to each other and ourselves. I'm Casey Bonilla, and I'm writing a book about three fictional second-generation immigrant women and their stories in living in the United States in 2020.